This was posted on one of my videos in the comment section, one of my videos a few weeks ago, and I thought it might be interesting to do a rebuttal to. Why demographics is everything. Let's get started. From a channel called Oppressed Media, 93,000 subscribers. And notice how this starts.
Are you racist?
Am I what?
What are you think of these people now? Why?
I think she asked, are you a racist?
Stay here.
Are you racist? Am I racist?
Yeah.
No,
Yeah, okay. Are you racist?
I'm not racist. Why do you ask
That's always a good start to a conversation.
that?
Well,
Why is it that people who stand up for America and who want to protect our own borders, why are we always trying to be backed up with the racist thing?
Why would you ask him if he's racist?
Well, let me
And as you can hear, I don't know if you guys can hear the other guy. It sounds, and I think it's Jesse Lee Peterson, who is, I think, the closest thing reality has to a cartoon character. Because I don't know if you guys have ever watched Jesse Lee Peterson's interviews and his stuff, but he's really over the top. He's so over the top that I really just can't take him seriously as a person. Jesse Lee Peterson. The things he says is so insane.
Why would you ask that question?
Why you stand here?
Amazing.
And you asking him because he's white and you want to get away with this racist remark. Are you a racist?
No.
So why is it that he a racist because he's standing up
Do you
for the
like
country?
the Latin people? Do you like
Do
it?
you like them? No. Do you like them?
Yeah,
Do you
I
like
like
America?
them people.
Do you like America?
Yeah.
Then what's your problem? You should be out here picking it with us. That's a dumb question to ask. You're asking that question so you can use it on your program to make him look like a racist. Why don't you ask me am I racist? Because I'm black, right? I love America too. And I think these illegal aliens need to be shipped back to their country.
He says, I think, he talks a little fast, and I have it on high speed, but he says, I think you illegal aliens should be shipped back to your country. So notice how this video started. It's starting with a video that suggests that it's not racist to be concerned about illegal immigration. And I don't know how intentional it was to start the video with this, because this is how it always starts, it seems. The immigration talk. Oh, we're not against immigration. We're just against illegal immigration. Because illegal immigration, that is one of the highest crimes. I think, like, if you were to rank, like, the top 4 or 5, it would, like, number 4 would be rape. Then 3 would be murder, and then the top 2 would be illegal immigration, because you have the people that come to America illegally on visas and then overstay them. And then they're illegal immigrants because they're in the country illegally. But then you have the people above that who sneak across the border. They don't even come here legally. They just violate our laws. Such a high crime. Illegal immigration. And it's not racist because it's a law. We are a nation of laws. And if you break the law, you should have some consequences. That's what a lot of the anti-immigration people, they always start with, it's illegal immigration. But then it always it conveniently shifts into legal immigration. Watch this.
So why is that racist?
Why is that racist to care about illegal immigration?
Because leftist ideology is seeped into nearly every aspect of our society, it's become fashionable to brand anyone against mass immigration, even if it's illegal immigration.
See, he even makes a difference. Mass immigration, and even if it's illegal immigration. So now he's already shifted from illegal immigration to mass immigration, and that's where he goes. It's often a red herring. And it always starts with, oh no, we're just against illegal immigration. We got to get those illegal immigrants.
As a racist or xenophobe or some other disparaging
And see, this guy's annoyed that that everyone who is against mass immigration is labeled a racist and a xenophobe and disparaged. He doesn't like being called a racist, you guys.
But reality shows us that, like with socialism, multiculturalism via mass immigration from foreign civilizations doesn't align with human nature.
It doesn't align with human nature. Mass immigration does not align with human nature. Who the hell cares? Human nature. You know, at a point, humans, they moved on, you know, just living on natural instincts, living on nature. At a point, humans developed a conceptual way of thinking. We moved beyond the perceptual level of thinking into conceptual level thinking, right? And if you do this long enough, if you use reason and logic to your advantage, you come to a point where you think, when you're thinking about what kind of neighborhood, city, society you want to live in, you start thinking less and less about ethnic makeup, because it doesn't fucking matter, right? At a point, it all matters what's up here. And this guy kind of hints at it. He makes a package deal. Check this out. Let's move it back a little bit.
As a racist or xenophobe or some other disparaging label. But reality shows us that, like with socialism, multiculturalism via mass immigration from foreign civilizations doesn't align with human nature.
Oh no, it doesn't align with human nature. Reminds me of that part from Rucka's song. Here we go. This back to nature talk sounds a lot like Germany. This kind of looks like Germany, oddly enough. But watch the package deal he makes.
Most people on the planet prefer to live in a relatively homogeneous society where they...
Most people on the planet prefer to live in a homogeneous society. Again, who the hell cares? Right? Just the fact that a lot of people might think a certain way or have a certain opinion on how society should be made up, it doesn't matter. It doesn't mean that they're right. And I honestly don't know. I have not asked all 7 billion people on the planet to figure out whether or not this guy is full of shit. But again, who cares? If the majority of humanity believed in angels, does that mean angels are real? Okay, so apparently most people, it goes against mass immigration, and diversity. It goes against human nature, and most people want to live in homogenous societies. But look at the package deal he makes.
They share a heritage and ancestry, culture, relatively homogeneous society where they share a heritage and ancestry, culture, language, religion, and traditions with
their
neighbors.
And so look at the package deal he makes. The package deal is, ethnicity, homogeny, heritage, ancestry, tradition, language, religious values. And some of those things, yeah, some of that's true, right? If I'm going to live somewhere, if I'm going to live in a neighborhood or a city or a society, I would prefer to live in a society of people who share my values to a large extent. Even if it's something like liking the same sports team. That's one thing I miss about living in Detroit. Like those are where all my favorite sports teams are, and most of the people in Detroit share those values. If I go to a Red Wings game or a Pistons game in Detroit, most of the people in that stadium are fellow Pistons and Red Wings fans. And we can all enjoy the sports game together. Same with music. I'd like to live in a society where most people share my taste in music. Religion, yeah, I would like to live in a secular society where most people embrace reason and disregard religion. Language, yeah, if I lived in a society where everyone spoke different languages, that might be a huge pain in the ass. But he makes a package deal with race and ethnicity and ancestry, and that's what's of value. And so think about this. I'm sure most of you people out there, you guys have close relatives, blood relatives, like cousins and siblings and aunts and uncles. And some of those relatives you have, you guys share the same ancestry, but some of your relatives might be total deadbeats. They might be criminals. They might be scumbags that you don't want to be around because they might steal money from your piggy bank to buy drugs with. Or if you ever watch Jerry Springer or any of those daytime TV shows, Maury, siblings are always stealing their significant other. And do you want to be around that? Do you want to be close to that? Do you want to be proximate to that? Is that what you? Oh, but we share the same ancestor, and that's what really fucking matters. So yeah, the package deal. It takes some good things that you would want to share, shared values. Yeah, traditions. I'd like to live in a society that embraces awesome holidays like Christmas and Thanksgiving and Halloween. That's one of the things I love about living in LA. Halloween is like a 2-month event. I love living in a place where so many people share the value of Halloween that there are multiple theme parks that change their themes for Halloween, like Horror Nights. It's wonderful. I like those shared values, but ethnicity and skin color are not values. As Stonks Boy says, but Kirk, illegals are bad for the proletariat's wages. Yeah, a lot of communists probably think that. Yeah, I mean, that's what Tucker Carl Marxon thinks. I mean, that's one of the economic arguments, but that goes against immigration as a whole, right? Because for years, you always, where is it? Let's go. Maddox immigration. Quick, there's an American. Let's take his job. That's how people think about people are just sneaking across the border and they're stealing everyone's jobs, right? But you can apply this to legal immigration too. And as I pointed out recently with Tammy Laren, Twitter immigration. I don't think I'm going to be able to find this. Okay, years ago she called it an invasion. Illegal immigration is an invasion, folks. Okay, I'm not going to waste time. But recently she tweeted in applause of Donald Trump's clampdown on legal immigration because it's saving American jobs. American jobs first, you guys. Demographics is everything. All right, so yes, I guess it goes against human nature and most people agree. So therefore, it's good.
This is how Mexicans feel about Mexico, how Saudis feel about Saudi Arabia, how the Japanese feel about Japan.
Look at the examples he's using, too. This is how Mexicans feel about Mexico. Okay, well, then why are many Mexicans trying to flee Mexico, their ethnically homogenous country, and coming illegally, apparently? They're coming to America. Why don't they just stay in Mexico then, if it's so great to live in an ethnically homogenous society? And then he also says Saudi Arabia. Oh, Saudi Arabia. That's how people think about Saudi Arabia. That's the society you want to emulate, buddy? One of the shared values in Saudi Arabia is Islamiyah. And as a result of that, they live in a theocratic hellhole. But hey, it's ethnically and culturally homogenous, so it's all good, apparently.
And even the most liberal Jews want Israel to remain a Jewish state for Jews. And no one says China is too Asian or that.
But no one says China is too Asian, but China certainly is too communist. And you can even take this to North Korea. The whole Korean peninsula, ethnically homogenous. But the North is communist, and it sucks. And the South is a lot less communist, a lot more capitalist, a lot more free, and it's a lot better. Why, you'd think that the North would just be like the South because it's so ethnically homogenous.
That Uganda is too black, but every traditionally white country is just never diverse enough.
And notice how he keeps showing he showed Germany earlier, now he's showing the Swedes, to imply like Sweden, and it's its own culture, it's its own country with its own language and traditions.
The campaign to leave the European Union used one of your quotes in their posters. They said the goal should be that migrants return and help rebuild their countries. You have to be practical. It's impossible for everyone to come.
The European country should take these refugees and give them education and training, and then aiming is return to their own land.
And if these people want to stay in Europe, shouldn't they be allowed to?
Limited number, okay. But whole Europe eventually become Muslim country, impossible. Or African country, also impossible.
There's nothing wrong with that, is there? I mean, you're a refugee yourself.
They themselves, I think, better to their own land. So better keep Europe for Europeans.
So when this woman says there's nothing wrong with Europe becoming a Muslim or African continent, no one bats an eye. But when an actual European says that he simply wants to keep his country, culture, and way of life intact...
See, look at the example. Hungary. Hungarians have Hungary, and it's homogenous, therefore it's good, and they just want to preserve their culture, you guys. Hungary is its own thing. Pay attention to this.
He's a racist and an extremist.
And Jean-Claude Juncker, the Commission President, says that you're racist. You sound proud of the fact that you haven't taken any refugees.
of course, because this is what our people are expecting from our government. That's number one. This is why our government was elected. This is why Poland is so safe. This is the reason why we had not even one terrorist attack.
Oh, this is Poland. This is why Poland is so safe, because they don't have immigration.
Look at the streets in Poland, and we can be called populists, nationalists, racists. I don't care.
So, again, the Poles have Poland. They're their own thing. Hungary's its own thing. Poland's its own thing.
I care about my family and about my country.
Now, while I'm still on the topic of leftists slandering people who don't share their radical political agenda, here's one of those BS political spectrum charts that's universally accepted by the sheep. So according to this, right of center we have conservatives, who generally want a smaller government and more personal liberty. Then further to the right, there are libertarians who want an even smaller government and even more personal liberty. And then further to the right even more, there's fascism? Wait, that's a political ideology that requires a huge government where the state is everything and controls everything, including the economy, and where personal liberty doesn't exist. In what universe does this chart make any logical sense?
Of course, he's using this cartoon that was drawn by Bosch Fawston. And from what I know about Bosch, I don't think he would appreciate his work being associated with garbage like this. What up, arrogant bros?
What makes a lot more sense is what behavioral scientist Dr. John J. Ray said on this topic. At its most basic psychological level, conservatives are the contented people and leftists are the discontented people. A leftist is a person who is so dissatisfied with the way things naturally are that he or she is prepared to use force to make people behave in ways they otherwise would not.
Oh, so it's all about psychology, not ideas.
So an essential feature of leftism is that they think they have the right to tell other people what to do. Leftists aim to deliver dismay and disruption into other people's lives, and they are good at achieving that. So I think the bottom line is you can't change the demographics of a country without changing its culture, economy, and politics.
So you cannot change a society with mass immigration without changing its culture and economics and politics. Yeah, you can. It's called assimilation. When people come to America, which, yeah, let them all in, and say, look, this is the land of the free, so mind your own business. You can come on in as long as you're not carrying a disease and as long as you're not a terrorist or whatever. He's going to make that package deal, too. That's another thing. Like, they try to use legit reasons to maybe shut down immigration here and there on temporary manners. Like, oh, as long as they're not a criminal, as long as they're not carrying a disease. Yeah, those might be legit reasons to temporarily shut down the borders and immigrations from specific countries. And then, of course, he makes a package deal out of demographic change. Woo! But it's called assimilation. America's the land of the free. Come on in, get to work, and mind your own business, folks.
And you can't compare people who want to resist.
But apparently assimilation, that's too tall of an order to ask. It's easier to tax everyone and build big fucking walls and never let anyone else in again because we've given up the fight against the welfare state and we're tolerating the war on drugs, which encourages and fosters black market activity that allows drug cartels to thrive. We've given up on fighting the regulatory state, so if the job market shrinks as a result, we'll just shut down immigration because we're just going to tolerate the regulatory state. And assimilation, that's just a sign of defeat. Americans are giving up on their culture if they don't think that people can't come in and embrace American freedom.
Resist radical, detrimental changes to their nation with the people who want to impose them. Graphics of a country without changing its culture, economy, and politics. And you can't compare people who want to resist radical, detrimental changes to their nation with the people who want to impose them.
There's a reason that gains support, and it isn't to do with speaking hate.
And he mentioned Japan earlier. I've mentioned this before in other videos, but it's interesting to note that Japan, before the atomic bombs, they were much more nationalist than even the Nazis. I mean, at the very least, they were like on the same level. But I think the nationalism and racism within Japan, their obsession over race and tradition and nationalism and all that stuff, was a lot more significant before World War II. That's what eventually motivated them to start waging war throughout the Pacific. And it brought about their destruction from a more free, more reasonable country like the United States. And and then Japan had to become a free country afterward, and they're a lot better off than they were being a bunch of nationalist knuckleheads.
Whipping up frenzies or making people anti a yellow peril, using your words. It's because there is a sense that there is a whole world of stuff we can no longer say, and it's because there's a whole world of state media that appear to be very biased in a particular direction. It's because of people like you that there are people like me. And I've always said this, that you guys, the liberal elite in London, are responsible for me. You are Dr. Frankenstein, and I am your monster.
Okay, so in America, the effects of demographic change are clear.
Demographic change. Oh no, you guys.
And can be traced back to the implementation of the 1965 Immigration Act, which abolished the earlier immigration policies which liberals deemed discriminatory. So instead of most immigrants coming from our own civilization...
Most immigrants coming from our own civilization. What does he mean by that? Because I thought America was our civilization. But apparently America was this proxy for another civilization. What does he mean by that? And of course, this was a legal immigration bill. So again, it's no longer about illegal immigration as it started.
After about 1970, immigrants came more from countries in Asia, Africa, and Latin America, instead of Europe.
Instead of Europe. So presumably what he's saying here is that our culture is based on Europe. And it's bad that we're getting immigrants from Latin America and Asia and Africa. Oh no, because it's changing the ethnic makeup. It's changing the demographic makeup of the United States. Now, remember earlier when I was talking about pay attention to how he talks about Hungary and Poland and Japan? See, these people want it both ways. They want Europe to be, they want it to be a collection of homogenous societies like France. The French speak French and they have their own ancestors and cultures and traditions. The Swedes have Sweden. They speak their own language. They have their own culture and whatnot. The Germans have Germany. The Hungarians have Hungary. The Poles have Poland. The Italians have Italian. The Russians have Russia. So on and so on. But when talking about this immigration bill, which a lot of people on the alt-right talk about, then suddenly Europe becomes this one big, giant, homogenous culture that America is based on, apparently. Of course, the United States, again, based on... I thought the Declaration of Independence said that all men are created equal. Not separate, but equal.
And nowadays, when someone criticizes the policy set by this act, they're considered some kind of bigot, even though the 1965 Immigration Act is full of lies.
Oh no, they're considered a bigot because they're obsessed about demographic change.
And broken promises. Here's what Ted Kennedy said in 1965 about the immigration bill. See how many lies you can spot. Out of deference to the critics, I want to comment on what the bill will not do. First, our cities will not be flooded with 1 million immigrants annually. Under the proposed bill, the present level of immigration remains substantially the same. Secondly, the ethnic mix of this country will not be upset.
See, he's mad that the ethnic mix of America, or the ethnic makeup of America, will not be upset. And they keep calling me a bigot. Oh no, you guys, stop calling me a racist for obsessing about ethnicity and demographics.
Contrary to the charges in some quarters, this bill will not inundate America with immigrants from any one country or area, or the most populated and economically deprived nations of Africa and Asia. In the final analysis, the ethnic pattern of immigration under the proposed measure is not expected to change as sharply as the critics seem to think. Thirdly, the bill will not permit the entry of subversive persons, criminals, illiterates, or those with contagious diseases or serious mental illnesses.
See, so that last part, the part about criminals, illiteracy, whatever, and people carrying contagious diseases, those might be instances where it's reasonable to temporarily shut down immigration from specific countries. But he makes a package deal with all this nonsense about demographics and ethnic makeup.
As I noted a moment ago, no immigrant visa will be issued to a person who is likely to become a public charge.
But stop calling him a racist, you guys. He doesn't hate non-white people, non-European people. He just doesn't want to live in the same society as them. He's not a racist, you guys.
Mind, this is very important. All of your viewers need to understand this. Just a few decades ago, Richard Nixon and Ronald Reagan were elected to high office from the state of California. Is that possible today? Absolutely not. It's impossible. Why? It's called demographic change. And right now, the largest ethnic minority in California is largely Mexican and Hispanic. California is in the main today no longer a majority English-speaking white state. It is in the main something else, something new, but largely Latino, largely Mexican. The Latinos, the Mexicans, are the base of the Democratic Party. The Democratic Party has decided they are the future for the left in the United States. The more of these people that can be brought in illegally as well as legally, the better it is for the Democratic Party, because their goal is to transform the United States into a facsimile of California, so that any election is impossible from the standpoint of the right, from the standpoint of the Republican Party, to win anything.
So you don't believe there's any other calculation other than the political calculation that goes into
Of course, I mean, does the left really need immigrants to take over this country and destroy this country? You know, watching the riots during June, a lot of the people that were smashing windows and burning banks and stores to the ground, and you know, I did a whole video about how they sprayed, you know, kill Jeff Bezos, eat the rich. A lot of those hooligans look like they are white American-born citizens.
the question of assessing immigration.
Of course. I mean, obviously, they're going to sit there and say, oh, these people are poor, they need our help. But we all know that in fundamental terms, not only is that not true, but secondly, we don't need it, we can't afford it. We have problems here in our own country with our own citizens. Yeah. Our own citizens need help and assistance. So that's a false argument. The real interest is to create demographic change that will make them the permanent power inside the borders of the United States.
Douglas McGregor.
Or they could just change the culture through universities and, you know, the media and the education system.
Colonel, good to see you.
Sure.
So to reaffirm what the retired colonel just said, we can take a look at the Republican stronghold of Texas. This graph alone shows that it's just a matter of time before Texas turns blue forever. Same with my state of Florida and many others. So frankly, unless we drastically change our immigration policies, the people who want to keep America's foundational principles intact will soon be outvoted forever.
Foundational principles intact. Again, so reason is out the window for this guy. It's assimilating and convincing, using reason to convince immigrants, illegal or legal, using reason to convince them, yeah, what we want is freedom. What we want is more capitalism. The founding principles of this country, it isn't ethnicity or European heritage. It is about freedom, individual rights. And why did you come here? Why did you come to America? Because it is a country founded on those principles, and that's why it is the greatest country to ever exist. And that's why you want to be here. So you want to keep it free. You want to keep it free, but no, this guy, oppressed media. Yeah, no, that's too hard. Reasoning with people, using reason, convincing people. No, you just gotta shut down the borders. That will solve everything.
DACA deal that Trump put out, that would grant a pathway to citizenship for 1.8 million people. I can't imagine the Democrats getting a better deal. But they don't want it. The reason they don't want it, in my opinion, is because they want the borders to remain porous, because they can't win elections otherwise. The Democratic Party has lost the white vote since 1964. Unless the Democratic Party is successful in convincing people like you to tax, spend, and regulate, they need to bring in people who do want to tax, spend, and regulate, and these are people from third world countries. And it has gradually changed the nature of this country to the point where we have almost a 50-50 nation. And if we bring in millions of more people from third world countries who have the kinds of views I'm talking about, who don't have any understanding of the concept of federalism, any understanding of the concept of difference between church and state, no understanding of...
Of course, yeah. I mean, what was it? Immigrants that turned Russia into a communist country, China into a communist country, Vietnam into a communist country. What happened in the countries that went communist during the 20th century, some people went to Europe, like Lenin and Ho Chi Minh and Mao Zedong. They went and they studied in Europe, and they learned about this brilliant guy, this brilliant philosopher named Karl Marx. And then they went back to their agrarian countries and started revolutions.
The concept of limited government, we're going to have more and more Democrats. And that's what they're doing. They're minting Democrats. I've asked this question.
Ilhan Omar is living proof that the way we practice immigration has become dangerous to this country. A system designed to strengthen America is instead undermining it. Some of the very people we try hardest to help have come to hate us passionately. Maybe that's our fault for asking too little of our immigrants. We aren't self-confident enough to make them assimilate, so they never feel fully American. Or maybe the problem is deeper than that. Maybe
So Tucker's on the right track there. Like, yeah, maybe the problem is we don't assimilate them.
we're importing people from places whose values are simply antithetical to ours. Who knows what the problem is? But there is a problem. And whatever the cause, this cannot continue. It's not sustainable. No country can import large numbers of people who hate it and expect to survive. The Romans were the last to try that with predictable results. So be grateful for Ilhan Omar, annoying as she is. She's a living fire alarm, a warning to the rest of us that we better change.
So the problem with Ilhan Omar is the fact that she is an immigrant. She came here legally, I believe, by the way. So Tucker wants to shut it down even legally. Of course, this ignores the fact that that Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, she was American-born. Bernie Sanders, Bolshevik Bernie Sanders, he's not an immigrant. And he almost won the presidency. So, yeah, again, shutting down immigration won't solve the problem with socialist politicians winning elections.
Our immigration system immediately, or else.
Now, Tucker kind of gets it, but what pisses me off about the majority of conservatives is they act as if demographics doesn't matter. It seems they're preoccupied with winning a socialism versus capitalism debate, or bragging about how much they love mass immigration as long as it's legal. Meanwhile,
here we go.
The Democrats are acutely aware that demography is destiny, and that racial and ethnic group identity occurs naturally and is a powerful thing.
I'm not even sure that's true, to be honest.
And that makes current America...
Now, the left does obsess over ethnicity and demographics, just in a different way, right? Because he talks about it earlier, about, like, diversity, and that is a problem with a lot of people on the left. They think diversity qua diversity is of value. They've tried to fight racism with racism by obsessing over the racial makeup and saying diversity is our strength. Yeah, it can be. But diversity qua diversity, that is racist because you are still obsessing over demographics. The example I use is the 1996 Chicago Bulls, arguably the greatest basketball team in the history of the NBA. You look at their starting lineup, it's not that diverse. I think it was 4 black basketball players and 1 white basketball player. So I guess if diversity, qua diversity is a strength, you would want to diversify that starting lineup.
Serving our values and way of life are bringing a spoon to a knife fight. Social cohesion. It's one of the most important aspects of a society and, interestingly, something most people never think about. Social cohesion is defined as the willingness of members of a society to cooperate with each other in order to survive and prosper.
And you can do that in a free country.
Cohesion contributes to a wide variety of social outcomes such as health and economic prosperity. Another definition of social cohesion is the bonds or glue that maintain stability in society. And in other words, social cohesion gives people a sense of connection and of belonging and promotes trust.
A sense of connection and trust. That's your purpose in life, is just to be connected to other people of society.
And is what makes people feel bound to uphold social norms and their nation's values.
Social norms. Well, are the social norms good?
So, social cohesion and culture go hand in hand. Now, there have been a lot of studies done about social cohesion, especially in relation to...
A lot of studies, you guys.
...racial diversity. The most well-known, and I believe the largest study on this topic, was conducted by Harvard political scientist Robert Putnam in 2007. And to his dismay, the study found that without exception, diversity drastically reduces social cohesion. More specifically, the study found that the more diverse a community was, the less trust residents had in their neighbors and the local government. People voted less, gave to charity less, contributed to community projects less.
Don't Americans give more to charity than any other country in the world, and it's the most diverse?
And have fewer friends. And people in diverse communities were less happy overall and less satisfied with their lives. This shouldn't have been a surprise to Putnam, since throughout history, when multiple cultures try to share the same space, what you get is a struggle for a dominant culture to prevail. So instead of a utopia of diversity, you get conflict.
You get conflict, you guys. So let's cherry pick this video from a bus.
You guys think you're so fucking smart, but guess what? I'm gonna teach you a lesson.
This is America every day, folks. You can't go outside without, like, 2 people of 2 different races getting into it.
This fucking train today. No, we're different. Understand that. No, we are different. You know why? Because your people treat my people different in our community.
This is what all of America's looked like since 1965, since the immigration bill.
You treat us different in our community.
Okay, one last bit of food for thought here. 90% of the
food for thought
population increase in
I would consider this poison.
America since 1970 is from immigration. And over in Europe, the majority of Swedes alive now will live long enough to see themselves become a minority in their own country. And in my homeland of Germany...
See, again, he's saying, oh, the Swedes are going to live long enough to see themselves become an ethnic minority. Oh, well, I thought Europe was this big homogenous society that America is based on.
percent of children under 6 have a migrant background, and that number is only increasing. And your run-of-the-mill liberal thinks all this is being compassionate, but there's nothing compassionate about the turmoil, strife, and violence that drastic demographic change causes, which we've barely even begun to see.
That on them, though. You are speculating.
And now he ends it.
Various intention among minority communities. And you're also building that idea on the fact that these communities can't live together with equal representation.
The point is...
Ends it with the white nationalist intellectual Jared Taylor. So, yeah, again, this guy is tired. He's tired, you guys. He's done being called a racist and a bigot because he's so obsessed over ethnicity and demographic change.